Hi, this is Dr. Kimberley Linert, and you're listening to Incredible Life Creator Podcast. My guest today is Focus James. Focus is a life coach, speaker, trainer, and author. She is certified through John C. Maxwell as a coach and through the world-renowned Les Brown as a speaker. She has extensive training in coaching and leadership. She has dynamic and engaging speaking abilities. She is compassionate and has drive. Focus will help you propel your life forward to your desired destination. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Kimberly. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
So just so we can get to know you, tell us a little bit about you, where you grew up, where you started out, and how you got to be doing what you're doing today.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was born and raised in Philadelphia, North Philadelphia to be specific. So I was always that kid on the playground that helped take up for someone that was being bullied, right? So it was a natural progression that now I get to help people heal their hurt, right? So how did I get started in it? It's healing my own hurt. At 18, I got married. I was very young, a Christian, and I married a 21-year-old gentleman who's also a Christian. But, our brain's not even developed at 25. So that relationship just didn't even work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Loving God is not enough. There's a whole level of skills that you need to have. So about a decade after that relationship, I was still so hurt and just torn up from how it ended. Unfortunately, we were pastors of a church, actually assistant pastors of a church. And unfortunately, he cheated with our nanny. Ouch, I know for those that's hearing that for the first time. And she also was the right hand of the pastor, the person that he cheated with. So it's very devastating, right? In so many levels, right? The betrayal on so many levels was there. So it actually caused me to travel this country, going to workshops, seminars, reading books on relationships and healing and forgiveness. So that's where the drive came from. But you can only heal with so much. Then it's time to give it away. So that's how I became a life coach, a certified life coach. That's how I became an author, going to that amazing course where you and I actually met at the Inspire to Speak with James Dentley. He's one of my business partners, phenomenal. He's done trainings all around the world with I don't know how many people at this point. And then he brings in Les Brown. And after having an amazing training with those two and Les challenging us all, how can people take you home? And that's how I wrote that book in 90 days after leaving that class, which was 10 top of my coachings, my consulting, to really help people know you can heal the hurt. You can heal the hurt from the trauma of, just relationships. So that's how the journey began, all the way back at 18, getting married so young, really trying to get out of my mom's house. She had, was that kind of house. She was trying to love us as best as she could, but she was traumatized from her childhood, right? So it actually not only healed me, but our relationship healed just from all of that reading, seminars, and just connecting with people. And so now that's what I get to do now. I get to help people heal their hurt so they can get clarity, so they can get clear on their purpose, and then get the love they want and have the life they love. So that's what I get to do. Yeah.
Wow. So how is it that you help people?
Perfect question. So that's generally what I do. I ask questions, and they're pointed questions to really create their own aha moment. And a lot of times it's just really getting the world and perspective of whoever is the offender. Really get them out of the victimization, the mindset that it happened to them, it done to them, only if they would have, because I was in that for a long time. For 10 years, if you bumped into me, we were pumping gas together, you would get the whole story in about 3 minutes. I had that. I had that story packed tight when you would know how the church folks traumatized me. I had it tight. So once I got out of that victim mode, I was actually able to serve other people. So that's one of the top things I have to do when I encounter people. Just unlayer all of the hurt, all of the trauma and the victimization. And then they're able to take responsibility of their part. And mine was, I was 18, I walked down the aisle. I made the choice. A few people told me I shouldn't. I made that choice. So that's an empowering point, because then you can make another choice. So when I got that, freedom began, to kind of ring inside of that whole, I'm the victim, I don't believe they've done this to me,
Yeah. And how do our stories affect us? I mean, some people have had like you said, stories for years.
Yes.
And
oh, yes.
how does that affect our ability to really live
Yeah,
our
yeah,
life?
great question. Oh my goodness, that's actually one of the questions I ask people, and it's something like, how is that working for you? And recognize it's running the show. Being the victim is running the show. So if you weren't the victim, what would that look like? Oh, that's one of my favorite sessions to have with someone when we get to the progression of asking that question and they actually able to hear it. And you should see their face light up, Kimberly. They're like, wow, I get to be myself, not the person who was cheated on or whose parent died early or my child got killed, but I actually get to determine who I am in this world by who I say I am, not what happened, not my story. So I don't have to sit in my story. I can stand on my story and create from it. You know, so it's that's one of my favorite sessions. It's normally like the third or fourth session because I got to unlayer everything first before they can even imagine that, right? So
Exactly. Yeah.
beautiful. It's a session I live for. I get really excited when I see it coming where I'm going to be able to ask those tough questions.
Right. And so once, let's say someone says, okay, I've unlayered all this stuff.
Yes.
I'm ready to go into who I really am, who I say I am, but I
Yes.
have no idea who I am. So how do
Yes.
you help them? Where do they start? How do you help them start to find out who that person is and who they actually want to be?
Great question. So from many trainings I've watched with Tony Robbins, one of my favorites of the motivational speaking world, if you will, or breakthrough world. And the key question I asked from him, which is, if you did know, what would that be?
Ah,
And allow myself to be silent and let them be with it. Because most of us know, but because of all of the layers, we keep pushing down, acting like we don't know, because that's a safe place to be. Because not to know somehow translate that I don't need to be responsible.
ah,
Still be the victim because I don't know. Oh, if I knew, I would do it. I just don't know. Really? Well, if you did know, what would it be? And because I'm not going to give it to you because there's no aha moment in me telling you, yes, I can see that you would be a blah, because I'm sure other people have told them that. But it's profound when they get the aha moment and go, I do want to. And it opens up a whole new world. They begin to, the revelation they get of how they can do it and begin to connect. And here's the fantastic part. Then they begin to connect the dots. Then you begin to connect the dots of all the trauma and the story of what was leading up to that and how to use the trauma in the story. Now that's something I can't even teach. That's all of you, right? That's all that person. And it's such a beautiful thing. So that's the question I ask. And I keep asking unraveling questions as the person continue to be confused, because that's all a part of a story too, to be confused.
yeah. Well, the thing is, as long as you're confused, like you said, you don't have to take responsibility.
Yes.
And that's kind of a lazy place to be. And you don't have to grow up.
You got it.
So when you take responsibility, all of a sudden, no matter how old you are, you have to grow up.
You got it.
But then again, you've just taken back your power.
That's right.
So, I mean, how do you see the, when you say you ask those questions and people just kind of light up, I mean, their confidence changes.
Yes.
How do you see them actually grabbing a hold of that confidence and just going with it? Do some of them just like take it and just start changing their lives?
Yes. Well, I think this is where the power of a life coach come in, right? So the last I checked, Oprah has 4 life coaches in different areas of life. That's called a clue. When a billionaire has life coaches in different areas of her life, she found people who have mastered what she already wants to do and say, teach me. That's called a clue. So most people are traumatized for decades, right? Many relationships, the names of the people in a relationship change, but they're the common denominator. It changed from Joe to Peter, Paul, maybe even whole nationalities. But it always still ends traumatically because you're the common denominator. Until you heal the hurt, you're just going to repeat the story. I mean, you don't have to heal it, but just know you're going to repeat the story and the pain, right? Mm-hmm. So what am I connecting is that it is a process. So having an aha moment is just not enough. Now, how do I apply it to the many areas of my life? Because one, I'm still convincing myself, I'm still learning who I am and defining, but then I have this whole world of my village who only knows me as.
Exactly. So you don't want to change because you don't want people to, maybe they might not like who
Got it.
I have become all of a sudden.
Beautiful. That's exactly right. And who wants to be traumatized again? That now that I blossom and I got victory, now I don't have anybody to share it with. So let me still stay in my little corner of victimization. Because for me not to be the victim, then they might feel like I'm trying to be better than them. So it can be really lonely in that stage, because now you're about to give birth to a new you, and it doesn't mean everybody's going to go with you. Fortunately and fortunately, some of those relationships you probably been needed to get rid of and didn't have the power, the strength to do so, because it was like, now who will I attach myself to, right? So that's our connection as a life coach. And then what my goal is to have, I have my clients to create a vision board of who is in their inner circle. Who's my inner circle that I can reach out to, right? And trust that they will like me with or without my change, and they will welcome it. And then people begin to take some people off the board, actually, because they recognize those relationships was toxic, and that it would have never let me grow to the other side, right? So it can be very confronting, especially realizing certain people that you would never, they think they've been their best friends since kindergarten, and they're like, oh my God, how would I be able to get out of this relationship? Well, my response is normally, trust me, they're going to get out of a relationship. Because if they're not willing to grow, you're going to get less calls. You don't have to block them. They're going to stop calling you. So it's 9 times out of 10.
I mean, that makes sense to me, because I was just talking to someone the other day, and she was saying, I used to drink, and all my friends would go out and drink, and that's what we did together. And they keep inviting me, and I keep saying no. And she said, it's not that I don't want to spend time with them. It's just that that's all they do is
Yeah.
drink. So I had to find different friends, and, little by little, they're calling me less and less. And, there's kind of a sadness there of losing those people, because they are special in your life, even if they're not really in alignment anymore. But, that's just the seasons of life. And if people they find themselves in that situation,
yes,
where would they go to find a new set of friends? Because, some of us have been with the same friends for years, and all of a sudden here we are, like you said, we're alone. We're alone in this new place. It's like, where do I go find those people? Where are they?
Exactly. I love that question. And that's exactly what I would ask. Where are they? Where are those people that you want to meet that now resonate with you? What's going on that lights you up, that you want to spend time with? And then they'll go, well, I've always wanted to learn how to ski. There you go. There's meetups for ski clubs. There's Facebook pages, Instagram. Social media has pretty much made it very easy that any type of niche or people you want to be around, it's a quick Google with your zip code, and boom, it's a whole group of people. It's not even hard now. I mean, we used to go to our church or our space of worship, our schools, our community center, and maybe a few other places, and that was the extent of meetups, if you will. Now it's endless. It's endless. You can find a niche of any kind. Matter of fact, you can create it. In a couple of weeks, you'll have a few people in the room if you want to.
That's true. We can make our own meetups, right?
You can make your own meetup. Yes.
Our Facebook page.
It takes like 3 to 5 minutes to create a Facebook page, a meetup page, and just shoot it out. And before you know it, boom, you'll have a nice grouping of people to meet with.
And talking about that, I know that you also work with people, with relationships, with dating. And why don't you talk a little bit about online dating? Because I know I've had success there, and I've had horrible experiences. Just unbelievable. What people say and do is just unbelievable.
It is.
So talk a little bit about that. How to actually, is there a successful way to use that?
It is. Well, first, it's right back to what you just said. What is your niche? So I have a client specifically right now. She's practicing abstinence. So she does not need to be on your regular dating sites, because she's going to get beat up, right? She's going to feel beat up because there's going to be advances to different levels that she's not willing to go. So my direction to her is, where do you need to go to meet other men that also are practicing abstinence while dating? That's where you need to be. So that's my first thing. So if you want to date people that are musical, or if you want to date people that like to swirl, they have just about everything. Swirl is black and white, black and white. If you like to swirl, no matter what it is that you like, Google it. I promise you, there's a dating site specific for that niche so that you are in the right pool. So that's my first nugget, right? So that you're not on certain dating sites that doesn't fit what you're looking for, right? Now, your profile, you want to be sharp. You want to, first of all, have no pictures that are older than like within a year. That's my little cat, Snowball. As soon as he's on Zoom, where I see my clients, he comes and joins me. So you want to have up-to-date pictures for yourself. You want to have a clear profile, fun and light. But I also recommend that when you start messaging people, it's something like, how are you? How'd you get on the site? Very, very la-di-da, but very pointed. How did you get on the site? And normally people will go, blah, I just got divorced, or I just ended a relationship. You want to know that. You want to know what stage they're in. You also want to ask, what are you looking for? Very open question, right? What are you looking for? And people will tell you straight up, sometimes I'm only looking for a hookup. Well, thank you for your time. Good luck, right? If you're looking for a hookup, bingo, we're a match. Let's go, right? So this way you're clear about what they're looking for. You don't want to text 3-4 weeks on. You have to ask the question what they're looking for, right? Mm-hmm. And I always recommend video chat, not just a phone call. You absolutely want a video chat. That will eliminate catfishing right there. And I mean video chat a few times before you actually go out on a date. So it's not an immediate, in my opinion. You want to hear a person's voice. You want to hear how they dance the dance on the phone. And then you also want to definitely hear that video, see that video chat. So I think that'll eliminate a lot of bad dates by asking some pointed questions. What are you looking for? And listen to them. How's your family? And here's a great question to know about their dynamics of trust in their circle. Who's your best friend? Tell me about you and your best friend. If they say any rendition of, I don't trust people, then the conversation is over, right? Because they are so wounded and beat down. I mean, unless you really want to take their project on, right? But you want to know that they have 1 or 2 friends, people they confide in, that they trust, that they talk to, because they know how to build relationship and have some level of emotional intelligence. So that's really key to ask these very seemingly lighthearted questions, but it really helps you to get to know the type of person that you're possibly dealing with.
Mm-hmm. That is great advice. Just very common sense, but why don't we do it? You know?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people go, I don't want to be intrusive.
Uh-huh.
Well, and I can appreciate that to a certain degree, but I want to know who I'm dealing with. You ever been married? Oh yeah, well, 3's a charm, but I'm looking for 4. That's not a clue, right? That's not a clue. We got to talk more about that before we even go out on a date, right?
Uh-huh.
Hey, 3 charm. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Tell me more. What happened? This gives you an opportunity to really learn the person before you go out, if you even need to, right? If you even need to go that far, with that person. So yeah.
That's great. And what about like long distance? Same thing. I've been on those sites and there's somebody in a different state and they say, well, I'll just go anywhere to find my love. And I'm going, but you're in a different state. What are your thoughts on long distance dating? Can it work, or do people just really not, they think they know each other and they don't?
Yeah, all great questions. I absolutely support long distance relationships. I think the universe laughs at us when we go, I'm only dating someone 2 hours away. Like, really? We have buses, trains, we have FaceTime. You can literally spend more time with someone long distance than someone down the street if your schedules don't work. So it's really a fallacy to think that they have to live in a certain parameter. Now, you want to earnestly be where you are. If you're not that person that's willing to wait quarterly where you see each other every 3 months or every 2 weeks or whatever it takes based off of your finances and schedule, then again, that's that niche that's not for you. You don't want to get on those kind of websites that perpetuate a worldwide, log of people. So you want to make sure you stay in a particular area. So you want to, be present to that if that's really something you're not willing to do. But long distance dating can be amazing. You can actually learn more about the person. Why? Because of the quality time, because of the FaceTime. You're not sitting next to each other watching 3 movies in a row on a Saturday, cuddling. When you do see each other, you want to talk. You are engaging. You are learning the inflection of each other's voice and gait. You seem off today. You're very much more present than actually sitting next to each other watching a movie. So it can be really fulfilling to have a long distance relationship. And you get to live your life still, right? And you can actually have fun virtual dates, like watch a movie at the same time and not be in the same. So you can be very creative, and it can be very endearing, because then you're likely to send things in the mail and the email. So that's more time spent to write or to text. The thought patterns of what it takes to be in a long distance relationship, in my opinion, it elevates higher, because you have to be more creative, and the emotional intelligence has to be there, because that whole trust of being in another state, like, that really makes a difference. People cheat in the same community. They cheat in the same
the same home, same church.
Yes, and no problem. Now listen, I'm at peace with my ex-husband and the nanny. They helped raise my child. We threw him a big party together, all three of us, at their old house where they have 6 children. He married her. I am so at peace with it because of my own healing, right? But people cheat. We're in the same house, literally. This woman's coming in and out of my house, right? So if you're going to cheat, you're going to cheat. I think for him, that was the best way he could deal with what he was dealing with at such a young age, right? And I'm dealing with it the way I want. So people will, they're going to react the way they're going to react, whether they're in the same street or on the same state or not. It's just going to unravel their way of dealing with stress and anxiety. Is going to happen either way. So being long distance, I think it just creates a necessity to make that person feel that much secure, and that they're safe with you, that you're going to protect their heart and the bond that you've created, if that's in case, the fact.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see people? There's people that they just don't like to talk on the phone, whether they're local or long distance. They're like, no, I just want to talk to you when I'm with you, but they really don't want to spend time on the phone. What is your take on that?
Yeah, well, I was in the customer service industry for a long time, and I get it. A lot of my coworkers was like, once they got home, they didn't get on their phone at all. They were wore out, right? Because I worked in retention departments with every call was to cuss you out or get less money off their bill, right? So I get it. Now, I never was really in that place. I did need time off from the phone when I first got home to kind of unravel, but that's who I am. I blossom with people, right? So that's a different personality set. So my question would be to that person, how do you want to connect? So when someone says, I don't want to talk on the phone, well, what does connecting look like for you? And then I would allow them to say what it looks like. And then you can negotiate, right? So if they go, well, I can text or email or only when we're together. Okay, well, that's great. That fulfills your need. But since now you're trying not to be single, there's another person to be considered. Right?
Good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the challenge of a lot of single people. They have exact things that they want. Well, that works in theory. But now you bring in another person in your world. You need to consider, what does that look like for them? Now, listen, it don't mean you need to change, but it don't mean you need to be in a relationship with that person either. Mm-hmm. Right? And it doesn't make either one of you right or wrong. It just makes the what so. It's not a match, and that's okay. Now, I don't know how many, especially if that's a man, I don't know how many are going to be okay with that, sir. So you might have to figure out a breakthrough on, talking on the phone or video chatting. That might be something he would prefer and not feel more awkward. So I would, inquire, what's the pushback? And most of the time, to be honest with you, there's some story running in the background. It's something that happened that's causing them not like my coworkers. Every time they hear the ding in their ear, it's like cringing, because they know it's someone that's going to call and curse them out or just try to get the bill. So that's why they see their phone, they're like, I can't. I just did that for 8 hours, right? So there's some kind of story, around it. So we would have to peel that back and then get free. And it still might mean that person wants to talk every day, all day, but we just want to make sure it's coming from a clear space.
Mm-hmm. And when you work with people and you help them kind of peel away the layers, find out who they want to be.
Yeah.
And, if they're a single person and they want to be available to someone who's resonates with them at that point.
Yes.
How do you advise them of how to, not only be themselves, but be that person that will attract their mate who is in alignment with them?
Yes. Oh, this is a good one. Absolutely. Well, one, you want to show up for yourself. And what do I mean by that? When you put your goals down, when you put your absolutes down of what you want to achieve and how you want to be on a daily basis, you want to show up for yourself. A lot of times if my girlfriend calls, all in. You know, we're supposed to go out. I could be deadbeat tired, but I'm gonna put the makeup on. I'm gonna put the dress on. Okay, girl, I'm on my way. But for ourselves, right, we won't even take a vitamin, 7 days in a row, right? Before we like excuse ourselves. Oh, I'll do it when I get back home. Oh, you remember about 9 o'clock, but you're in the bed and like, well, I'll do it tomorrow, right? So we won't keep our word. So one, we want to show up for ourselves. Why? Because that enlightens us to trust who we are, to trust who I'm being. So when I do interact with people, I can actually trust what I hear. Uh-oh, or, oh, he's welcoming. But a lot of people are so uncertain about who they are that it just sends out a negative energy into the universe, right? So we're just always questioning ourselves. So one, we want to woosah, so we can really hear ourselves and be centered. Because then there's a different type of radar that goes out into the universe, pulling the energy towards us. And I absolutely believe there's more than one soulmate. It's 7 billion people in the world. Really? You think God is, really? Or the universe really just one? I don't think so. I think it's necessary to be centered. Also, when we're out and about, it's necessary to stay on technology and the phone. How you gonna make eye contact with anybody? Go where you want to be. If you're into home projects, go to Home Depot. Take a course there, especially ladies. There's gonna be plenty of men right there. And you gotta drop the hammer or the nail so somebody can come over and pick it up. Oh, damsel distress. And then if you're there and you're in Home Depot, hey, I need a woman's touch on this. I'm redoing my bathroom. What do you think about? Strike up a conversation with a beautiful woman, right? So that this way you can begin to engage in the gender of your choice without feeling pressure. So it's a very lighthearted thing. And then if it clicks, you move forward. But that gets you out of your norm of what you were, right? And now gets you engaging with the other gender in a way that's playful and that's fun, that can welcome the possibility of connection, right? Without the have-tos and is this my wife or husband? Nobody want to be around that person. The first hello is like, are they the one? Oh my goodness. Nobody.
Pressure.
Any kind of pressure. No, just keep it light and recognize they're thinking the same thing. Most people are thinking, if they're single, they're thinking typically, is this the person? Is this the one? But I want to lighten it up by just having fun with it and recognizing there is a possibility and just, be fun with it. Am I answering your question, Kimberly?
Yeah, that's very, yeah. And so when you work with people, are you working with people one-on-one or do you work with couples sometimes?
Yes, there's a phenomenal couple that just got married. They are a blended family, so both have been married before. They both have children, and now they moved here. So I just got a chance to walk them through that process of how to blend the family, because they both have very different ways of disciplining, and to recognize that can shatter a relationship right there, right? So just being able to figure out the dance between how they're going to allow one another to continue to do what they do, but then merge the household's function. It can really take something. So yes. So how do I do that with couples? Normally the first 3 sessions with all 3 of us. And then the 4th and 5th is individually with that person. And then we come back normally for the 6th and 7th and 8th. Couples is about 8 sessions, right? It's the same thing with singles. That's normally how it runs. And then they can, repurchase a package if they want, or singly leave, whatever, how they like to do it. But generally, that's how it goes. Because again, we're unraveling. Many people are not willing to, see it all at once. It'll blow them out the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to take the layers back and allow it to evolve and to be heard before, we can reveal what's so much, if you will. So that's how that works. And it's right here on Zoom. I see clients from all over different countries, and it's all on Zoom in different time zones. So I just synchronize my watch to whatever that. I had a California, Nova Scotia, and we just synchronize our watch, and we get going so people can have the life they love. Yeah.
Awesome. So when people go to the focusoflove.com, what are they going to find? What things, is there like packages or sessions, or how would they even figure out how to work with you?
Yeah, great question. So yes, you can go to focusoflove.com. It's under services, and you'll see I provide motivational speaking. So if you want me to come to your organization, you want me to come to your event. I was just at the Bluebell Country Club here, and they had an empowering women's event, and I spoke on a topic called how to keep the spark alive. So to women that stayed home or had a business and stayed home with their children. So I got to share with them how to keep that spark alive. And then, of course, I do the individual coaching like this. So you'll see that there. I also do group coachings as well, right? So if it's a family or if it's a business, I do business consulting. I do that on a particular website. And I do public speaking, right? Since I do public speaking. So I do an individual public speaking, and then I do groups of 3 for public speaking as well. So a maximum of 9, where we all learning how to, train their voice and do what Les did with us so beautiful. That class, I was on the edge of my seat on that class. I think it was 4 days, Kimberly, 5 days?
It was 4 days with, James Dentley and Les Brown, and that was an amazing time.
That was an amazing time for it was 8 to 10 hours. I mean, we were in there, I didn't even see the state, Chicago. You couldn't even tell me I was in Chicago except for my flight ticket, right? That's the only way I knew. It was in there. And for me, I was there when my mom had just passed away and I had no more time left. So I had to use a 3-day bereavement to be there. So it had to matter for me. So for me, that's also why I was sitting on the edge of my seat. We got to break this generational curses of the stressors that we pass down, right? Sometimes you just walk into a bunch of crap and you're supposed to live a fulfilling life, and we got to peel that apart. So this is where all of that got birthed. So what you'll also see on that website, thefocusoflove.com, you'll see my interview there with James Dentley that we done in that class as well. You'll also see my interview with what's called The Busy Mama. So I was on Fox 29 last month. That was so exciting. That's a TV show down here. I'm sure you guys have it too, right? Don't you guys have Fox 29 as well?
We have Fox something.
Yeah, I think they're nationwide actually. And then I'll be next week. I'll be on the Q show here in Philadelphia on Fox 29, as well. So you get to see all of that. You can purchase my book. My book is called "What Is the Focus of Love?" What is the focus of love? And that's the 10 chapters I created coming out of that Les Brown event, as well as my T-shirts. So I have a line of T-shirts and some workout gear that people can purchase, as well. So that's what they'll see. And plus my social media. So all of my social media is "What is the Focus of Love?" or "The Focus of Love." And of course, Focus James, so they can go there too.
Wow. And so I'm just changing gears a little here.
Yeah.
Looking at your own life and, all you've gone through and learned, and was there any aha moments, times when it's just like, oh, there's this realization and it made a huge change in your life?
Yes, thank you for asking that. And I believe the change that took place the most, I was taking this course in what's called landmark education. That's a worldwide education. And they have a particular course you start off in called the Forum. And it was the first day that I was in the Forum. And I was there to tell them how horrible my company was. And this is what's ruining my life. That's why I went. I was like, they're going to know, and we're going to fix this company. Maybe they can help me write some letters. And, I don't know what I was thinking, right? But I was going to go. But I was so over myself. I was so over telling the story about how my husband and the nanny betrayed me. I was so over that I couldn't even hear I had been to so many talk therapy therapists saying, well, maybe this one's not the one. Or this one, not the one. I went to a male, I went to a female, I went to a Black woman or a Black man. It's just like, it just was not happening. We were talking about the same thing. I was so over telling the story again. So much so, the company that I came to talk about, I had passed out on the job because this was the 4th time the manager moved my appointment to talk about why I didn't get a raise. And I was so devastated because I'm so competitive. I mean, I was a captain of different teams as I was growing up. I was always in competition. And I could not wrap my brain around how I didn't get how I didn't get a raise. And I'm one of the top salespeople. And then I felt betrayed that she wouldn't talk to me. I said, show me my numbers that says I shouldn't have a raise. So I found myself being picked up off the floor and looking up in an emergency room. And that's when I knew I had to do something different. I was like, I am stressing myself out. I got this story about being betrayed. I got this story about being a victim. So much so it is killing me. It is killing me. It's enough. This is where that turning point went. When and I went to this course. This is where it started. And I went to this course, and the leader of the course said to me, as I was going on and on about the job, he said, "You know, you volunteer to go to that job." I said, "What do you mean? I need to pay my bills. I have this small child." He said, "Well, we all need to pay our bills, and we all have children. Most people in here have children. But you recognize you shower and you drive there voluntarily?" And I was like, "What?" I said, "Are you trying to say," now I'm getting defensive. "Are you trying to say that it's my own fault?" He said, "No, I'm trying to say you're responsible for your own life. If you don't like the job, go get another one." It was so confronting, but yet so true. We play this victim story like we can't change. Just like I put my resume down, I went for the interview, I had the phone interview, I bedazzled them. I can do it again and get out of that toxic relationship. But frankly, I like the toxicity because it was what I was used to. So I just went somewhere else and created it somewhere else. But that confronting conversation with him gave me an aha moment that I really get to create my life. Whether it's in peace or toxicity, I am the master of my ship. I got the chance to drive to that job every day for 7 years. And I can change my pattern and drive somewhere else or start my own company. So that was my biggest aha moment. And I took a few more courses with that company, and that's how the Focus of Love got developed in a course there called Self-Expression to Leadership. That was the name of the course, which the course, in the name of it says it all. Self-expression to leadership. And that's how the Focus of Love got created. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast today and for everything you're contributing to the world and how you're helping people. And if you could just honor us with just any words of advice you have on how to live a life of happiness, fulfillment, success.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And one of the other things I learned in that whole curriculum, because it's a whole curriculum that can last up to like 2 years, and I went through the whole curriculum, which is life and happiness is like a choice. It's like walking into an ice cream parlor where you choose chocolate or vanilla. We get to choose, guys. We could keep going with the stories of what happened was, but there's no power in that. And guess what? At some point, it's called so what? We can try to out traumatize each other. Someone has more trauma than I've been to. I haven't even told you a snippet of it, but someone else can come behind me and tell you more trauma. But what value is that? I tell you what the value is, and that is not sitting in your story, but standing in it so you can make a difference, not only in your own life, but empower the people around you. So choose.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, Focus. And we'll post everything in the show notes so that people can find you.
Yes.
And thank you so much. And we'll talk to you again soon.
I look forward to it. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.